You are about to enjoy a production of the Ella Wellness Network. This is Wellness Fixes the Pod. I'm your host, Dr. Kelsey Vick, and we are about to get hotter and smarter in 5. Let's get into it. This may sound counterintuitive, but sometimes restricting and limiting ourselves in a certain way can increase our actual freedom and power to choose. Welcome back to Hotter and Smarter in 5, and let's chat about my 40-day spending freeze challenge. As a little backstory, I've done this challenge over the past 5 years around this time for the Christian season of Lent. It started out as a way to actually sacrifice my want to buy things and my want to buy clothes especially, or new skincare products or new makeup, or just even a latte every now and then. So it started as a way to sacrifice those purchases that I would make in order to enhance my life in some way, whether it was my style, my home, or to just get closer to this ideal aesthetic life that I wanted. And I thought that it would actually be a challenge, which it was, but what I didn't realize is the amount of freedom that I would feel coming out of the 40 days of no spending challenge. It helped me after the challenge by realizing that I had the power to choose whether or not I did want to purchase something or I did not want to purchase something. And I know that sounds so silly because of course we all have the power to choose, but it was amazing at the silent grasp that some of these material items and some of this consumerism had on me that I didn't even realize until I put myself through this 40-day spending challenge. So today we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what mine entails, and then also just kind of hopefully inspire you to also do this challenge with me or at your own time frame if you don't want to do it for the Christian season of Lent, or if you don't celebrate Lent in some way. I just always have it around this time of year because I feel like after Christmas, my birthday's in January, Valentine's Day, my husband's birthday's in November, after all of this holiday and celebration and gift buying and celebrating each other and ourselves, it's a nice way to sort of reset, because sometimes after Christmas when you're buying gifts for everyone else, you can just start to get in that buying cycle. And so this comes at the perfect time of year for me to do this challenge. I always have it correspond to Lent, which is why it's a 40-day challenge. And I really do feel like that's a good length of time. The first few weeks are pretty challenging, but then it does get a little bit easier. So we'll talk about what that 40-day challenge looks like for me to hopefully inspire you guys to create your own sort of challenge in order to realize the power that consumerism and material items might have on you, so that you can restrict those or have a spending freeze in some way in order to get back that freedom and that power of choice, which it sounds so counterintuitive, but I promise it is one of my favorite times of the year now because I realize how much it helps me to reset and refocus. So how mine works, what is allowed? I do allow myself to restock on certain items. So if I run out of skincare or makeup, but this does not mean that I get a new lip gloss or a new eyeshadow palette. If I'm not using it daily, I'm not allowed to restock it. I also am allowed to use gift cards that I've still gotten from Christmas, especially if there's a sale for the store that the gift card is to, because I'm not you want to maximize the gift card. And so that's not something that I feel restricting myself on. I want to get the most out of the gift card. So if it's a store that's having a sale with an item that I like, I am allowed to use that gift card. I'm also allowed to, or I allow myself to go out with friends for lunch dates or dinner dates or lattes. I'm not someone who constantly goes out with friends and spends on restaurants or on happy hours with friends. That really is only once or twice a month, or a date night with my husband. All of those things to me are relationship building. It's not this spending sacrifice that I want to make. Relationships are important to me. I don't want to say no to a friend or say no to a date night because of the spending freeze. So I do allow myself, if it is with someone else, I do allow myself to go out to dinner, have a happy hour, go get a latte, coffee shop date with someone, those sorts of things. And it's also still okay to buy gifts for others, like birthday gifts, hostess gifts. I'm not restricting my spending for other people, just with myself. So what I don't allow myself to buy is primarily new clothes, shoes, makeup, skincare, any home decor items, really extraneous spending. I don't allow myself to buy something in those sorts of realms. I also don't allow myself to get my nails done, my hair done, any sort of like beautifying treatments, I guess. And it's mainly because those are not my norm. Like those are not something that I normally spend money on. So those are really one-off situations where I'm like, no, I don't really need that. That's a way to sort of limit that extraneous spending even more so, even though that's not something that I necessarily struggle with. And that's not a significant chunk of my extraneous spending, but still, I want to limit that during this time. And then lastly, I don't allow myself to go get a latte or get a lunch if I'm out. I always try and prepare my own coffee, prepare my own lunch at home. Like I don't allow myself to take solo trips out to restaurants or to coffee shops unless it is, again, for that relationship building. Because some of the time, like an iced latte in hand on a Saturday walking in the farmer's market, like that is something that I really enjoy doing. But it's also something that I'm like, I can make that coffee at home. I don't have to spend that money on that coffee. I don't have to go to the farmer's market and take a latte with me from somewhere else that I bought. I can take my own, and I have the power to choose between both. So the rules for me are really simple. It's just whatever I consider extraneous spending. And I will say I do the hard thing for myself. So I do try the buying the new clothes, shoes, all of those things. I'm not someone that buys and buys and buys, but if there's a sale at one of my favorite stores, like I am someone that will go peruse the sale and be like, oh my gosh, 50% off, I need that dress. When before that, I wasn't thinking about buying that dress. So it's really just to bring more awareness to my own spending habits. But as you can see, I still allow myself a lot of other like enjoyable things. I just try and limit the amount of spending that I do on myself specifically. So a few tips and tricks: make sure you set the ground rules and are clear on them ahead of time. There's a lot of gray area when it comes to like spending. So to limit the gray area, just set the rules ahead of time and sort of go through all of the options that might come up over the next 40 days or however long you are going to make your challenge. Meal prep, especially for lunches. I'm not someone who like goes out to lunch a lot at work, so this one again is not hugely hard for me, I guess, but for those of you who do like to go out to lunch for work every single day, maybe that's the challenge that you have. Maybe clothes, makeup, skincare, all of that is not a big deal to you at all, but maybe this is where you're forced to maybe only do it once a week or twice a week or whatever that like restriction and that limitation is for you. I also have fail to plan and you plan to fail. So again, there's a lot of like the sales that come up, right? I mentioned there's so many stores that I love that have sales around this time, and I have to know that those sales are going to be popping up, that I am going to be tempted by them, and to plan to succeed and still be disciplined in this challenge. So if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail, and I take that to heart and try and anticipate the challenges that might come during the actual 40-day spending freeze challenge. And then lastly, my tip is to actually do the hard thing. Again, if you are that person who, like me, it's like shopping and clothes and makeup and skincare and all of these things that just like elevate, and it's okay to like elevate your style and elevate your look in that way, but that's why it's a challenge, right? It's 40 days for me. It's a 40-day challenge for me where I can really take control back over these things that seem to have a certain grasp on me. But for you, that might be your daily coffee that you get on your commute to work, where you feel like you have to get that. But in reality, if you just sort of pause and make the choice to make coffee at home over those next 40 days, it's like, okay, wait, I do have the choice, and you get back a certain freedom. And again, I know it sounds counterintuitive, but if you guys have done a spending freeze challenge before, I hope you kind of understand what I'm talking about, because it's wild how much you feel so much more freedom after restricting your spending for a period of time. So my challenge to you is to create your own. Like, this is what's challenging for me. This is what I'm allowing myself. But again, if you're someone who goes to happy hour every single day, maybe that's the challenge for you, is to restrict that, still get that quality relationship time with your friends by going and walking a nearby trail or something, and sort of redirecting that focus on relationships from that happy hour that you do every day of the week to this more like active, free activity, to realize, oh, I don't have to spend all of this money on cocktails in order to build these relationships. I can do it in another way. So whatever that challenge is for you, for me, it's that shopping and spending, but whatever that challenge is for you, do the hard thing, and you can make this challenge whatever you'd like. This is just how I structure my challenge, and I have over the last 5 years, and I've really found significant benefit from it. So I'd love for you to join me during this challenge or create your own challenge or spending freeze challenge in whatever way to bring back awareness to the grasp, the silent grasp that consumerism and materialism and buying things has on us, and to really restrict that part of you in order to enhance that power of choice and that freedom that you have over the choices and over the purchases you make. So I hope you join me, or if anything, if you made it this far, I hope you got something out of this episode. And now we're a little hotter and smarter now that we know about the power of choice and how to gain freedom back over our power of choice.